is it just putting up examples of bad behavior on the part of government, or new opportunities or new models for behavior? I'm not sure it can be dealt with on an individual level.
Let's pick a great work of art.
Ooh, are we going to all agree on this?
Just grab one.
Well, but a contemporary.
That you feel that it, not something of 20, 30 years ago, that you feel is doing what art needs to do. Well, Duchamp's wheel, just something that's a pivotal moment.
Would you like to choose one?
No, because anyone.
I would say that a work for me, let's see, 1962, Ed Kienholz, The Illegal Operation. American artist from California, actually born in Idaho, who made a semi-abstract sculpture that highlighted the danger and repression of women forced into illegal abortion and what that meant. And in this very, very difficult, very hard to look at work that nobody would buy, nobody would look at, nobody would show for 50 years. But it still had the enormous power of raising ideas and putting them up at a time when no one wanted to speak about those ideas.
You see, you jumped the gun already. I was going to go there.
But I mean, that's one thing that an artist with courage can do. But Kienholz spent most of his life not in poverty and not in obscurity, but being rejected by the art market because the work was ugly and difficult and not something you would put in your living room and have friends over for dinner to look at.
So what we're getting out of this, what you're saying now, is that look, we had an artist like Kienholz, and this was the story of Kienholz, and now we know that was a great masterpiece. Right?
Yes, but you know,
it took a long time.
It took literally a half century. And we're talking about in the United States, at the height of, liberal democracy.
And it's still the beginning of that.
I think you're making a mistake, though. It didn't achieve its effect 50 years later when the rest of the world realized that it was a great work. It achieved its effect for those first 10 years when it was influencing every other artist who saw that piece and every sort of in-the-know person who saw that work and went out and that idea filtered out, oh, I can deal with these really difficult issues, or gosh, I want to make something that powerful, that raw, that.
So it gets back to my initial question. For me, the job of the artist is to be the sand, the grain of sand in the oyster, to be that annoying voice, that thing that is just unbearable, that you just don't want to look at or think about, that is just disturbing. That you think is ugly and you would never think of buying it.
So doesn't it feel so much hopeful to talk about that than to worry about the market?
Was Ed Kienholz's work more important than coming up with International Klein Blue? Just International Klein Blue?
At that same moment? Or
whatever. But basically. But something that seems much more.
More artists would be doing such kind of work, people would have to look at it and they'll have to buy those things.
That's true, but the fact of the matter is that very few artists who are trained in art school are trained to go out of art school and become a pariah and be despised and feared and not shown. They want to have their works bought and seen and loved and hopefully respected by the inherently conservative institutions that do that. They rarely get out of school saying, okay, now I'm going to piss everybody off, and I'm going to make work that gets everybody angry.
Kienholz is an interesting person to talk about for a second.
Chris Burden would be another example for me.
But Kienholz was a card-carrying member of the NRA. Kienholz didn't fit in with the art world either, and I wonder how many people there are today who don't, artists who don't fit the mold ideologically. You know what I mean? Kienholz was,
he was a very independent individual. There was no doubt about it. But he was a liberal. He may have loved guns, and God knows he really did love guns. He had an armory with over 200 guns in it. He had, when I did a Kienholz exhibition, and I was brought to his studio in Idaho, the first thing he said to me is, "Can you shoot?" And I said, "I've never shot a gun. Why would I?" He said, "Well, you can't do my exhibition until you can shoot a gun." And I said, "Why do I need to shoot a gun?" He just looked at me like, well, what kind of wuss are you? You don't know how to shoot a gun. So he went into his armory and got me a pistol from World War I that took one bullet at a time, because he was afraid I might hurt myself. He gave me a handful of bullets, and this pistol, you had to open it up like that, stick one bullet in and close it. It was a kind of gun that you used to kill your horse if it went lame or something, if you were in World War I. And he put up targets all around his studio and left the studio and locked the door and said, come and see me in the bar when you hit a target. And now that was an artist, right? It took me about an hour to hit a target because I had no idea how to shoot a pistol. Not that easy, by the way. You think it's like in TV, you just aim it and shoot. And it's gonna, you know, I was hitting all his sculpture and everything all over the studio.
It's going to turn into a demonstration of how to shoot. That would be it. But I mean, I think that the keynote thing, you know, it goes back to what Lisa was saying about social activism being part of the fashion or the market. You know,
well, it's part of the academy also.
Well,
you can make academic, socially active art at this point.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean you're pushing the envelope just because you're doing socially active work.
Right. Now we have this kind of official avant-garde thing. It's just like Sundance. Sundance was like a place where young people went and showed anti-big studio movies. Today, the studios use Sundance as the outlet for the big movies.
Right. Yeah. No, it's hard to outrun a system. And as a friend of mine would say, you can never outrun capitalism. I mean, capitalism incorporates everything. It's the winner. Because no matter where you set yourself within a capitalist system, capitalism just puts its arms around you and says, welcome. We can sell that too. You know, I mean, when the souvenir of Chris Burton shooting himself, having himself shot in the arm with a rifle to protest the Vietnam War in 1971, when that souvenir sold for $1 million, you had to say that if that souvenir of that action could sell for $1 million, what would the market not embrace? There's nothing that the market would embrace.
Well, what would you have to get rid of now?
How do you escape the market? Is the market our enemy? I mean, you know, which artist here wants to say that the market is your enemy? None of you. On the other hand, is the market actually your friend either? Not necessarily. So where is the market? And it gets back to my initial question. If we see the market as neither friend nor enemy, but something that has to be contended with, in order to live your life and continue to make art and continue to function in a family, then what's your job? How do you manage that? Where do you turn? Who do you turn to?
There's no job.
For a family, an artist should not have a family.
Yeah, no, it's very hard to have a family as an artist.
So,
But some can't help it. Thank you all very much for your polite attendance. Appreciate it.
Thank you.